Good morning, everyone. Aaron here. A desperate mother meets silence where she expected help, and she refuses to walk away. And a young prince raised among old pagan gods grows up to hand his entire kingdom over to Christ. For those of you looking for our traditional Catholic prayers, the link is in the description, and I'll drop it on the screen at the end of the video. In our Sunday morning gospel from Matthew, chapter 15, we hear about a mother who will not stop asking. Jesus has gone off looking for a little quiet. At that time, Jesus withdrew from the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." She is an outsider in that place, someone with no claim on him at all, and she has a suffering child and nowhere else to turn. So she cries out in the open air for the one person she believes can help. And then comes the part that stops me every time. But Jesus did not say a word in answer to her. Not a yes, not a no, just silence. She has laid the worst thing in her life right at his feet, her own child, and nothing comes back. Maybe you know that silence. You pray for a friend whose test results are coming, and the days pass and nothing seems to happen. Some nights you lie awake worried about a child who is struggling in a way you cannot fix, and the ceiling just stares back. It can feel like the prayer went up and landed nowhere. The disciples had had enough of her. Send her away, for she keeps calling out after us. And even when Jesus does speak, it was not what she was hoping to hear. I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. She could have walked away right there. Instead, she comes closer. But the woman came and did Jesus homage, saying, "Lord, help me." He said in reply, "It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." She does not argue, and she does not give up. She just keeps her small place at the table and keeps asking. And then everything turns. Then Jesus said to her in reply, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And the woman's daughter was healed from that hour. He did not praise her cleverness or her standing, but her faith. And her faith was in the asking that would not quit. She kept coming back to him when the door looked closed and the silence stretched on, and the answer had sounded like no. Maybe that is where this meets us this morning. Most of us are carrying somebody, the name of a loved one we bring to Mass every week and have brought for years, a situation that has not budged, no matter how long we have prayed over it. Somewhere along the way, it gets tempting to believe that the silence itself is the answer, that we have asked enough, that we should stop bothering him with it. This woman would tell us otherwise. The silence was not a closed door. It was the room where her faith had space to grow, and she was already being heard, closer to his heart than she could feel in that quiet. The invitation today is just to keep asking, keep praying, to bring that same name back one more time, the one we are worn out from praying for, and to trust that our coming to him again is itself a kind of faith he calls great. It does not take the right words or the right standing. We only have to keep our place at the table and reach out our hand. Whoever you are carrying this morning, bring them to him again. He heard the mother from Tyre, and he hears you. Now let's turn to today's memorial. Saint Stephen of Hungary came into a land that worshipped many gods. The Hungarian people believed that trees and rivers and animals all carried spiritual power. They honored their ancestors as though the dead still ruled the living, and they turned to shamans to read their dreams and heal their sick. 10 tribes, 10 chieftains, and 1 grand prince chosen from among them. That was the world he was born into. His father was Giza, the grand prince, a hard man who ruled by force and spilled a great deal of blood. His mother was Saralot, a Christian. Giza himself was baptized, though he never really let go of the old pagan ways. The boy was born with the name Vake, and when he was baptized, he was given a new name, Stephen. Tradition holds that before he was even born, his mother saw a vision of the first martyr, Saint Stephen, who told her she would bear a son who would finish the work she and her husband had started and drive paganism out of their land. He took to the faith early. By 15, he was already helping his father spread Christianity. Around the age of 20, when Giza died, Stephen became Grand Prince. It did not come easy. He had to fight relatives and rival factions for the right to rule, and he won. He had married Gisela of Bavaria by then, whose brother would become the Holy Roman Emperor, Saint Henry II, and that marriage tied Hungary close to the empire. Somewhere around the year 1000, Stephen had himself crowned king. The crown came from Pope Sylvester II, and tradition places the coronation on Christmas Day. In that one moment, a scattered tribal people became a Christian kingdom, and Stephen gave himself to one work above all others, bringing his whole nation to Christ. He built dioceses and monasteries and welcomed priests from other lands to teach his people. He wrote laws that planted the Catholic faith and pulled up the pagan practices by the root. His love for the Blessed Virgin Mary ran deep, and he consecrated his entire kingdom to her care. Giving freely to the poor, fighting only when he had to defend his people, he ruled with justice, building fair systems that served everyone and not only the powerful few. He and Gisela had a son, Emmerich, and Stephen poured everything into him. He brought in Saint Gerard to tutor the boy, and Emmerich grew into a young man known for his purity and his faith. He was meant to be the next king. Then in 1031, around the age of 24, Emmerich died in a hunting accident. The grief of those last years wore Stephen down. He was sick, and the loss of Emmerich sat heavy on him, and with it the worry about what would become of the young Christian nation he had spent his life building. Even then his heart turned where it always had. On his deathbed, he prayed commending the church, the bishops, the whole kingdom and its people, and finally, his own soul, to the Queen of Heaven. He died on the 15th of August in 1038. Years later, after miracles were reported at his tomb, the church declared him a saint. Few kings have ever been canonized. Stephen was one of them. Saint Stephen of Hungary, you received the faith as a child and held on to it with everything you had. You carried it to a people who did not know it yet, and you gave your whole reign to their souls. Pray for us that whatever authority we are given, we will use it only for God and for the good of the people he puts in our care. Saint Stephen, King of Hungary, pray for us. We met two people this morning, and neither one would stop reaching for the one who could help. The mother from Tyre kept her small place at the table and brought her daughter back to Jesus until the answer finally came. Stephen carried a whole people to Christ, and when grief had worn him down to almost nothing, he still gave his kingdom and his own soul into the hands of the Queen of Heaven. Whatever name you are worn out from bringing, and whoever has been placed in your care, keep turning back that same direction. The asking itself is the faith he is looking for. Click the link in the center of the screen now for today's Catholic morning prayers, and I'll see you there. Share your intentions in the comments below. If you'd like to help sustain this ministry, we have memberships and one-time giving options on the website. Link is in the description. God bless.